We're going to call to order the regular scheduled meeting for the Cross Lake City Commission. If everyone will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our prayer will be led by Mr. Glenn Neal of Seventh Day Advent.
Sure. Let's pause for a word of prayer. Lord God, we come into your presence this evening for the business of our city. Our minds are pulled in different directions by the priorities that we hold and the direction we seek. And I ask that your Holy Spirit will brighten our understanding, give us a sense of direction that is best for this time for our people, and help us to rightly represent you in the middle of all that's happening in our area. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Maybe just share a brief note as we're starting out. I remember one day, I know after seminary, we got in the habit of reading so quickly. I don't know if any of you have had that happen, where you read and it's kind of like you're breezing through and your eyes go right over the stuff that might be more important. So one way I discovered to really slow down and see the details was to read in another language. When I lived in Korea, I read the Bible in Korean, but I could always go back to Greek or Hebrew. And one day I was reading about, as it's this time of year, I was reading about Jesus on the cross, and I was in Matthew's Gospel, and I came to verse 38, and I was reading about the two thieves. One on the, and it startled me, I recognized Dexion, right hand, but then on the other side it said the other was on the Ionumon, and I thought, I've never heard that word before. Well, I haven't read enough Greek at that point to have read it before. But normally you think, actually, you know the Latin word. Dextrose and what's the other one? I'm sorry, they say in Latin, dexter and sinister. Now, over the years, we came to think, what's on this side is no good. And way back in the Old Testament, it wasn't bad. You just have these two different directions, but by Matthew's day, there's this sense that you don't want to say that one, even though he's a bad guy, so bad they put him on a cross. We're going to say one on the right and one on the well-named side. I thought that's funny, that this tax collector Matthew, he would not want to say something so disparaging. Actually, Mark did the same thing. He wouldn't say actually left. He said, Numon. Actually, John, he did something similar. He wouldn't say left and right. He just was one over here, one over there. Only Luke would say one on the right and one on the, and he actually said left, and it was right there a few verses before Jesus would talk to that guy on one side. And even though you're so desperately down in the worst place you could be, I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise. Like, wow, good news from Jesus for the one on the wrong side. But Matthew never ever uses that for a person, that actual word left, until one place, and I want to leave that one place with you, which is actually where I first read it. It wasn't in the Easter story. Chapter 6, verse 3, where he's talking about don't play trumpet before you when you give stuff to people, and don't stand in the street corner to pray where everyone gets your attention. And then he said in verse 3 of Matthew chapter 6 that you do not want, when you do your giving of your kindnesses, you don't want to let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Wait a minute. Matthew, the man who would not use that word ever, uses it once. Don't let that side know what that side is doing. And I begin to wonder, could it be for Jesus, he wants us not to let the bad part of us know what the good part of us is doing or thinking. In other words, don't worry about this in my life. I've got all these other things to sort of outweigh it. And then I realized these are two different ways. Jesus' way and Matthew, Mark, and John's way of saying, when I look at the worst person I might meet, I don't see an enemy. I see a human. I'm not going to say you're on the left. I'll say you're on the well-named side. Unless it's Luke, I'll go ahead and say you're on the left, and Jesus can reach even you. Or Jesus himself in chapter 6 of Matthew. Don't let that side know what the other side is. Don't let the left know what the right side is doing. The bad stuff that you're doing cannot be excused by the wonderful things. Just let your whole life be on the side that honors me. When we come tonight, it may seem like it has nothing to do with religion, but the planning for our community, the discussions we have, we want to see each other even when we differ, even though we have very strong perspectives. We want to see each other like, I'll respect you, I'll learn from you, and I'll share why I might see it another way, but you are another one of God's people.
Thank you.
Okay, last Thursday when we were supposed to meet was a very special day for our community. And so I have a proclamation to read. And it says it's a proclamation for Miss Robbie Jean True on her 100th birthday. Whereas Robbie Jean True will be honored by friends, family, and the Cross Plains community on April the 3rd, 2025 in celebration of her 100th birthday. And whereas Robbie Jean True was born in Arlington, Kentucky on April the 3rd, 1925. And whereas Robbie Jean True moved to the Owens Chapel area at the age of 3 in 1928. And whereas Robbie Jean True volunteered with the Red Cross. And whereas Robbie Jean True married William Dixon Dick True and moved to Cross Plains in 1945. And they remained happily married for 73 years until Dick's death in 2018. And whereas Robbie Jean and Dick True were blessed with one son, James William True, along with 4 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. And whereas Robbie Jean True attended Owens Chapel Church and Cross Plains High School. And whereas Robbie Jean True has lived during the most eventful century of the nation's history and has been a role model and inspiration for her family and friends and all who have known her. And whereas the City of Cross Plains would like to dedicate April the 23rd, 2025 to Miss Robbie Jean True. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Cross Plains City Commission hereby supports this resolution to officially recognize Miss Robbie Jean True as the oldest living resident of Cross Plains, Tennessee. And I did go see her last Thursday, and I read this to her March the 6th meeting. Is there any additions or corrections to the meeting minutes?
No, absolutely.
Okay. I'm looking for a motion to approve minutes as read.
I'll make that motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes from the previous meeting are approved as read. Okay, the financial report for March of 2025. The general fund checking, $110,999 with 26 cents. The fire fund checking is $66,533.98, and we have 3 CDs. A playground is $13,000, a general is $892,000, and roads at $96,000. Anything you have?
These last ones we had were on a year. So the good thing is we had all of them on a year at 5%. So we'll make a good return on all of that. So nearly $1 million. But probably won't find that again for a while.
Do we need to approve to have these renewed?
No, we usually just go ahead and roll them up.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on the financial report as you received in your packet? Barry, we haven't got too far.
Okay.
How was the ball game?
Sorry, I was late.
You're fine. Oh yeah, pass it down there for him to sign. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the financials for March of 2025.
I'll make that motion to approve the financial.
And a second,
Second.
all in favor? All right, financials are approved for March 2025. Okay, we got a few reports here. Fire department had 87 calls, 32 inside the limit, or city limits, and 55 outside. The police department had 46 calls for service, and 143 of those went through dispatch and 4 calls by Robertson County Sheriff's Department. Where did he go? Do you have anything to report to us on the police department?
No, ma'am, not right now. Everything's good, thank you.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the building department, we had 2 permits and 4 inspections. Daniel, do you have anything we should know about that?
Nothing exceptional.
Nothing of importance, huh? All right, and, parks. Jimmy,
Yes, ma'am.
there you are. Can you give us an update of what's going on in our parks right now? I know we're kind of
Absolutely.
busy.
We're busy right now. It's
Mhm.
spring. I feel like I'm mowing every 5 days just to keep up.
Except when it rains for 6 days
Except for
straight.
when it rains, and we've, thankfully with the, the weather being as pretty the one minute and then storming the next, we've gotten quite a bit of baseball in, and, our soccer program started, just about a couple weeks ago. Lights are fixed there. Thanks Tommy and his team for taking care of that. We've had a couple leaks in the park that have been fixed. Thanks to Tommy and Marty and Warren, solving those. Most recent thing is the rentals. We've, I think it's, looking at tournaments. We got one this weekend with the Brothers Keeper coming up. I'll be present and on site for that. Travel ball teams. We had a new one inquire, this past week, and they were able to get out there yesterday. And, so we're just trying to get them moving, try to get them, all these teams that want to practice in, and I'm just kind of going around adding, we got new, dog leash signs that was brought up our last meeting that we've got 4 more of those, that'll be going up this weekend as well as complimentary food bags, that we're going to put next to a trash can. So we're excited, to add that. And, if I'm not mistaken, we also got we had a walking trail. I think part of it, we newly paved was kind of going out, and it's been fixed since then. So a lot of good things. So a lot of kids down there wearing it out. 3 little libraries now there. If you guys haven't seen that, beautiful. Go check it out. A lot of kids are going in and using that. I think I saw Nurse Sherry down there the other day. Yeah, there you go. So a lot of traffic going through there right now. But all in all, we're doing okay.
Thank you for all your hard work and jumping in and
Absolutely.
doing this thing for us. and
Anything the
keeping us
city
going.
needs. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, thank you. Hayden, could you grab our list? We're to public comments. Public comments are open for agenda items, if anybody signed up. And nobody did, so we'll move right along. Old business. ISO report. Tommy, could you come up here and?
We've been working, we've hired 6 part-time people, we're training them to get them started at Owens Chapel. They are working out of the station at night, they're training with the ones full-time that's already here. Pretty much everything's going okay. We just still haven't had the calls yet to show how many. We gotta have 5 calls to do a re-rating, and we're still doing training and stuff like that, and they had none.
How many calls have we had? 2, to prove that.
About 2 people, 2 calls. One of them had 6 people on it, which it ended up 4 and 2/3 because it takes 3 volunteers to equal 1 full-time person. So we ended up with 4 full-time, and then we had 2 that was volunteers. So they give us a 4 and 2/3. So they give us our 4 for that one, and then we got another that had 3 people on it full-time.
When's your estimate at getting Owen Chapel staff and somebody
There,
out
as
there.
soon as, they get done training, they'll be going down there, we're waiting on getting cable TV down there where they'll have something to watch and all that, that's about, everything else is ready to go down there.
So your estimate on training is,
Probably a month, another month. We got, TBI, arson investigation to be up here May the 3rd. We're doing a mock crash at the school on the 24th. And then May the 5th, 4 or 5 of them will be starting medical classes in Springfield at the EMS building, so.
Okay.
But we're piddling out and poking at it, that's all we can do.
and you got your new operating system up and running?
Yeah.
As far as the reports?
Yeah. Yeah, we're running, we still got a few problems we're having, but, yeah, we're running on the new system now for the reports.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, oh, I did ask you about that last night, for, the new truck, it's in service now?
Yeah, it's been in service for about a month, it's made 5, vehicle fires since we've had it in a month.
And you are planning on doing a pushing in ceremony at some point?
Yeah. What I thought we'd do is that when we do this ISO meeting, put it on Smoky Barn, have everybody that wants to come up here about the ISO meeting, do that at the same time.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. Okay, on new businesses, the first agenda item was, requested to be removed because they were unable to attend this month. It'll probably be moved till next month when they're able to attend the meeting. So, the second thing on the, new business is in our planning and zoning, we have, doing research, Daniel had come across that we have a historic board that were very older.
It had been inactive for some time.
It had been inactive for some time, and some of the members were no longer with us. And so, it was made a motion for us to, or for me to appoint some new members to this board and, get this historic board back up and running. So I think you guys have a copy of that. So and I have spoken to each one of these people. I tried to, find people lived here, had some history here, different ages, different walks of life, different, career paths. So my, suggestions to you guys are Mr. Ray Graves, Ms. Shawn Yates, Ms. Shasta Roberts, Ms. Rhonda Collins, Mr. Jordan Bishop, Ms. Kristen Doris, and Mr. Jeff Chapman. Does, any questions or concerns or other suggestions? If not, I'm looking for a motion to approve the historic board.
They don't have to do it. I won't make it sure.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, I need a second on that.
I'll make a second motion.
All approve, or all in favor? Say aye. All right, so the historic board is now approved, and congratulations to you guys that are on that.
Yeah, congratulations.
You can thank Daniel for your, for.
Look forward to it. Have a good time.
You can always thank Daniel for stuff like that. So, okay, so our next thing on the agenda is resolution 2502 to declare certain police and fire radios as surplus property and direct sale or disposal of same. Stan, would you like to tell us, Stan and Tommy, would you guys like to tell us what that actually entails there?
Sure, on the police side, we had 4, car radios and 4 portables. that, are on the old 400 radio frequencies. That Robertson County had a grant, and then the city paid a portion of, buying the new radios. There's the 800 megahertz radios, the cars got updated, and we got portables updated. So those radios are no longer of need to us, so instead of just boxing them, we're gonna try to sell them to another agency that may still be on 400 frequency. I think Tommy's got more than I got.
Tommy, what do you have?
I think we had 7 and 9 radios, and what it was is we was on a system that Greer Electronics had leased to the county. When their contract run out, we went to this new state system, and all our radios now are on with everybody else. We're supposed to be able to, if we go to Gatlinburg, we can have radio communications anywhere in the state of Tennessee. Yeah. That way, if they come here to help us, we have radio communications. Anybody comes in, it's on that frequency.
Is there still, agencies that use your? the
Probably
old
in
one?
other states. Or some farmers are leasing this tower from Greer Communications, and they might be, some of them buy it off of Gov Deals.
Okay.
We did have them deprogrammed, so there's no
There's no
stuff
information
in
from
there
cross
for
links on
us,
there?
yeah.
We have to unlock them before they can be programmed by somebody else.
Any questions to either Stan or Tommy on these items to be made? Fiscal year budget related to the fire department personnel. Last month, we agreed to go ahead and hire these part-time people to get going on our ISO and, get that taken care of quickly. So we have to approve this ordinance to move the money to the correct location so that these guys can get paid. Holly, do you have anything financially to tell about that?
If you look on the ordinance, and I did make you a copy of the color copy, it's, a lot of this is, I'm trying to help you understand how the money is moving and where it's coming from. It's probably a little bit confusing, but, so we are moving $42,925 from the general fund to the fire fund. And then I made a couple of adjustments in the fire fund. We did have budgeted $10,000 for volunteer firemen. We haven't had any volunteer firemen, so I went ahead and reduced that amount to $1,000, so that freed up $9,000 for us. And then we changed the paid full-time and part-time firemen. It was budgeted at $135,000, and I've amended it to $195,000. So between the offsetting, differences, the amounts in the fire fund, along with the transfer of the $42,925, that should fund those firemen.
For June,
Yes, that's just for the end of this school year.
and then it'll already, for the new budget, it'll go in
Yeah.
on the first hand of it. Gotcha. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve this budget ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. All right, so approved. Okay, so we have an audit contract for the fiscal year ending on June the 30th of 2025. Can you explain this a bit, Holly?
This is a standard audit contract that I've been familiar with for many, many years. And so when the auditor, when we choose an auditor, they submit a contract to the state comptroller's office, this division of local government. And so they submit it, and then they contact us, and we have to go in and sign the contract and then engage an auditor to do our audit. So this has already been submitted to the state, and I talked to John Poole about it, and the state is just waiting for our approval, and I would just recommend that we go ahead and approve the contract. And it is, looks like the audit fee is gonna be $3,500, and they have They did put in a municipal chart of accounts crosswalk for $400. That is something that the comptroller's office is requiring, is the crosswalk, that they're trying to standardize the account numbers. And that's something on the audit side that they do for the audit report.
So this is basically pretty standard for across the board, across the state. And how, so this is from the auditor itself, correct?
So the contract to audit is a state form.
Oh, it's a state.
So the state requires that we have a contract with an auditor, who's gonna audit our books, an independent auditor who's gonna audit our books after the close of June 30th of every fiscal year. So,
Any questions?
That contract's yearly, I mean, renewed each year, or is it?
well, you have to do one every year, we have to submit it every year. And like I said, this may not require your approval, but, this is the first one I've done with the city of Cross Plains, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention so you would know, what one looks like and what we're doing and what it's for.
And was it $5,000?
Yeah, that's what 39.
Yeah, we're not starting.
But it's in the budget already to audit, so.
Okay. But if anybody wants to make a motion to approve and sign this contract so that we can have this with the state.
I'll make this motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we will approve the audit contract. Jimmy, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat again.
Of course.
You brought us this, field rental agreement and the fees. Kind of talk that over with us, let everybody know kind of what's
Yeah.
going on.
Before he does, I just wanted to say, I handed you guys the one sheet that has the highlights on it. I made some corrections from your original packet, and I highlighted just to show you what the corrections were. I believe it had a couple typos for another city in here, another county, and I corrected that, and then just moved the C on number 3 down. So, okay, so I did change that.
Yeah, just to kind of walk you through it, just to basically trying to standardize anytime our parks are being used by an outside entity, to have some form of outline that states what is available for rent, the pricing structure of that, and then the general rules. And then basically we're getting into an agreement that they are going to adhere to those rules, whether it be, if, let's say a church or an organization wants to put bounce houses up, right? And they put, you know, we might have a policy in there that says, hey, they can't put stakes up. What happens if they leave them? Like metal spikes that do bounce houses, right? You hit that with a mower, it could send someone, it could be a safety issue, right? So we just want to make sure, and I'm using that as an example because that's something that, you know, as we mow a lot down through there, that there's times that we're used to mowing that same ground over and over again, and you're not as much noticing like a metal stake that could be up and real low in the dirt in the grass. So that could be a safety thing, and it has other policies in there, such as vendors. If they're going to use a vendor, they need to, you know, they need to make us aware, and that vendor, if it's selling food, is, you know, compliant with health regulations on all that. So you can't have somebody, you know, cooking hot dogs on the blacktop and, you know, whatever. It's just general rules and policies down through there. Some of them, you know, I took this as a template from, like I said, another city, and edited it quite a bit, kind of made it our own through there. This is just something that we'll keep internally, so we know, like if they're a ball team, they got to have liability insurance. That's something that we're requiring. That, you know, we got to have that. Kind of touches on that and a few other things. If you guys have any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer.
What's the value of the liability insurance required?
$1 million.
So on your baseball field rental, kind of explain that, how you broke that down.
Yeah, so each field is during the daytime. There are 120-minute time slots from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. I can't remember exactly how many time slots that equates to, but $25 if it requires no lights, $35 if it does require lights to be turned on. We do know there's pretty hefty power consumption in lighting things. So that would be anyone outside of our recreational leagues, Dixie Youth and soccer, junior pro football, same concept. Those recreational programs won't be charged a fee won't be charged that fee to be on our fields, but that can help. Talk about more lucrative and more beneficial to the city. From what I gathered from information as far as tournament, you can go rent all the parks out in Springfield at Travis Price for about $1,000 if that includes lights, and it's $600 if it does not include lights. So, you can't just rent one field for a tournament. You have to rent the entire complex. So that way, if they're collecting gates, we know that anyone coming in is going to be a part of that. We can't. I don't know who's playing Dixie or not, right? Like as far or part of this travel ball team or not. So someone's going to host a tournament. We're just going to dedicate all 4 of those fields to them and hosting that tournament. So, like I said, that can be changed, altered at any time. But I felt that was a good starting point for us to begin at. Definitely does not have to be set in stone for the next 30 years or something, but good starting point.
The tournament fees on here, I remember seeing that, but is it on this one?
It doesn't look like it. No, this is
Okay, so
an older document.
Okay. So I need to furnish you guys an updated one. Is that the only difference? Is the tournament fee?
Yeah, right there it has the field, it's the old field play.
Okay.
Fees are included, that was taken out, and that's where tournament fee was added. But most of everything else looks pretty
I
similar.
mean, it's 41.
Okay.
Any questions? Jamie?
If you have a tournament, how many, that's $500, no matter how many teams.
Mhm. Yeah, as of right now, it's a flat rate.
And is that not getting any gate fee or?
That's not us doing anything other than giving them the space either, right? Like, let's just say, hey, you're gonna work your own gate, you're gonna figure out your concessions, and we're gonna, we'll prepare the field the day up, but we're not gonna be up there, raking them in between games or anything like that. That's just, we can get more into that if we want to. We can meet again as the Parks and Rec Board and rediscuss. As of right now, that's kind of the going trend from what I gathered from Seth over at Springfield, what they're kind of doing. They'll prepare them, but they're not out there, working them day in between games, raking and dragging. Not putting a lot of man hours, if I could say that, right? It's kind of one and done, if you will.
Any other questions?
Yes. My concern on tournament days, it's a lot of people for $1 million liability. That's pretty cheap for me, for that many kids and that many people. At least $1 million general liability with $1 million aggregate, which is a $2 million coverage. This don't cost that much more to double both sides of that.
Yeah, I can do some more research on that.
Yeah, I mean, this normal stuff is one thing, but when you get 20 teams, it's got 15 kids to a team, it's pretty, you're looking at parents and all 500-600 people down there.
Yeah, for sure.
Look into it, see what others are doing.
Absolutely, will do, for sure.
That's the insurance side of me.
Well, I was gonna say, you're a little bit more versed in that realm than me.
How many travel teams do you have scheduled for practices right now?
I've got 3 different organizations, potential of a 4th, that came yesterday. He might be more consistent. Oh man, how many teams? Bucks has got 7, 8, 9, probably 10-ish right now. The Bucks kind of hit or miss because not every team practices the
Right.
same. So they're just kind of more of like booking it as an entity for that time frame. And then they'll determine who, because they have so many teams. They have 7, I believe. They even might have 8 now. But at the time when we discussed it, they had 7. And there'd be some times where they'd use that time slot for their 8U, but then 10U might say, oh, 8U's not doing it tonight, we're gonna jump in that time slot. That kind of makes sense. So they're kind of looking at securing these 3 different time slots each Wednesday. And kind of picking, going as they see fit, so.
I see that the practice fee sound good. I believe the only question we had as far as if somebody's hosting the tournament. Is that, you all kind of agree with that?
That's what I heard, yeah. Tournament fee. And the
Well,
insurance.
and the insurance and the fees, and if we're gonna ask for parts, of gates and that kind of thing. My question there gets down to logistics as far as the concession stand,
Mhm.
as the stuff inside the concession stand is to use. Do we allow these tournaments come in, how does that work out?
Yeah.
I believe we have some questions on the tournament side of it.
Yeah, and that's something we can definitely get more into the weeds as the Parks and Rec Board. If we, I'm sure we'll meet again here soon and, but yeah, at some point that is city property and, with Dixie having their stuff in there, is there some type of deal we can work out with them to be able to accomplish having tournaments? I know 3 weekends in a row, our park is gonna be used on Saturday, and that's a big deal, and I'd love to see it used definitely more as a revenue stream to build back into the parks. We know playgrounds need to be relaunched. We know we wanna add ADA compliant playgrounds. There's a lot of things that we can continue to do with the revenue stream as far as rentals go, to continue that, so.
So I just kind of have a feeling we could, try to improve just the practice rental
Sure.
and then have him come back with us on a tournament after meeting with Parks and Rec to kind of tweak that.
Do you have any tournaments scheduled as of now?
We have the Logan Hall tournament, and it is, here this weekend. It's a tournament that's it's a fundraiser for, East Robertson High School, to do scholarships for students, to go to college after, that were baseball players that are going to college, so it goes into the Logan Hall scholarship. So, yes, sir, we do have that one, and, I got a phone number today for another one that'll be coming up on I believe it's the 25th of April, 26th and 27th, I'm sorry. So there's potential out there for that tournament. I haven't got any details on that though. I don't know what they're gonna require of us. It might be a good thing, it might not, and we can also tailor one-off things. But we'll get with Parks and Rec here this week or try to get something scheduled soon and try to narrow this down. Find something that works.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, on the tournaments, you're not, the sanctions, are you gonna go, you don't know, just kind of based off who's putting it on, what's saying?
Yeah, like, tournament
Tournament.
hosts, most of, some of them are hosted by an entity or, my experience with East Robertson High School is we would be the host, let's say a team like the Blues would be the host of that tournament. That's the organization that's hosting it, and they've invited all these teams, so they've collected all the fees, they're getting all the umpires, they're getting all the baseballs, and they're making sure all the, insurance and stuff are square, on that regard, as far as rules and things like that. So that'll be something that we, clear ahead of time. Hey, is this, kickball? What kind of tournament we host, and kind of get on the same page as far as that goes.
Well, I'll just make a suggestion, if you're working with them and you get these ASA or USSSA organizations coming, it gives you some spin-off to put that on yourself.
Yeah. And eventually that could be a long-term goal of, as the parks continues to grow, and, for sure.
Anything else for you? Okay, so, the way I'm hearing it is if I'm looking for a motion to approve the rentals for the practice fields, and Jimmy will come back to us with the tournament schedule.
I think it's pretty good.
I need a second. I'll second it. Okay, all in favor of approving the practice fee schedule? Say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you, Jimmy.
Absolutely.
I know, I put you on the hot seat.
I'm sure,
City's never had anything like this, so I think it's great.
I do want to make one more comment. I did find out this week that the city does have a parks and bylaws book that I'll be getting a copy of hopefully, very soon, maybe tomorrow, that I was not aware of. So I'll be digging. We might, Daniel reminded me of it on the historic thing, so
Okay.
there will be that.
Don't put me on that board, man.
I got you, man.
I'll be on.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so Jimmy, when he came on, we had some issue with some ball field lights. They're high and the bulbs needed changing, or was it the heads or the bulbs?
Ballast, bulbs, we're
Everything.
not 100% sure exactly what's going on with them, but we know that they need to be fixed, and we've got one pole with one light on it, we've got one pole with every light working. So it's just a hodgepodge of just looking at them all individually.
And that's not anything we can do here. We have to have people who know electrical, and we need a lift, and
Yeah, that's 90 feet high,
One of them is,
One-
yeah.
so you have to have at least a 90-foot lift.
yeah, I don't know for less than 5 feet.
So the quotes we got, I believe they're, 125 foot bucket,
Okay.
so yeah. so-
Plenty hot, plenty tall.
Right.
And, you're going up there to fix them, is that what?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Okay.
I'll be there. You're there, for sure.
Okay. So, we had, you had asked for some bids on that, so if you'll kind of let us know what they are.
Yeah.
How many lights is it that we're looking at fixing?
And, originally, we were just gonna fix just our main baseball fields, not look at field one. But after talking with a couple of these guys, they said just go ahead and let's fix them all at the same time while that bucket truck's out there.
Yeah,
Probably looking at upwards of probably like 20 now.
20.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, while you've got them here, they might as well check them all.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure.
You don't want to bring them back out here in 2
Absolutely.
weeks when the rest of them goes out.
And we're furnishing the bulbs, right?
Yeah, we'll furnish all the bulbs and ballasts.
Because at my house, if one light bulb goes out tomorrow, the next one goes out.
No joke, no joke.
Okay, so if you'll read those for us.
So the first, quote that we got verbal was from Stanfield Electric.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't, bother to have them put it in writing because it was $11,800.
Okay.
We got a quote from Raines Electric Company out of Madison, and they quoted, $3,600. And we got a quote from TriStar Turf and Excavation, and this is someone who lives in Orlando, and he quoted $2,500. So I believe they're all bonded, licensed and bonded.
Yes. Yes, sir.
The turf guy works for Indiana.
Does it? Local house.
So,
Do we know anything else about any of the rest of them? Just,
Raines Electric was, super nice. It was recommended by the guy who actually installed our lights.
Mhm.
Solid company, solid guy, came out and met me, we walked the fields. So I had a really good experience with it. With them being a company that actually specializes in field repairs, field light repairs, it could be somebody that benefit us in a relationship further down the road, should we need it. We talk about in the next, 10 years, looking at, do we go to LEDs at some point, or vice versa? Just another company that, Doug Reynolds is his name, who actually installed these lights. Just somebody he recommended, and, like I said, good experience. And then Turf, they're good people, they went to East Robinson High School, all of them graduated here, all 3 of them that are in that company. Spencer Forey is actually the one that I was talking with, directly on that, and he's, works out at CEMC. And he was the one that was able to get the,
quoted the hour.
yeah, Spencer was $50 an hour, so he said he charges, and it was $1,500 for him to get a lift. He kind of broke it down for me, verbally. I don't think he did that on the quote there, but, probably looking at an 8 to 10 hour day for him, maybe a little more. So he just kind of, he originally threw out like 1,800, and I said, man, I'd love for that to be all in, but I think that'd be a great deal for us. I said, but please double check. Last thing I want is you to not feel like this was fair, you know, so.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
I'll make one comment. They do give back to the city and that park organization, not to cheerlead for any of them, but other than, they do put signs up on that park.
Baseball, and they do donate to our high school, local high school. Very, very good guys and generous.
So, you want to make a suggestion which one we take, or Sherry, do you want to make the suggestion? Barry?
I'd go with the local company.
That's what I think.
It's the cheapest stuff. I agree.
So would you like to make that motion, Barry?
Sure.
All right, so Barry's made the motion that we take TriStar, turf and excavation, I only got partners up there, sorry, for their $2,500 bid. I need a second to that.
I'll second
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, so let's take that. Will you let them know tomorrow, or let them?
Yes, will you?
I'll
you
take
let
care of
them
it.
know?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and next, thing that we need to take care of, insurance guy came, looked at our park, where, the concession stand was cooking their burgers with the grill, was right outside the concession stand, on the concrete where people were walking around, children were running, kind of a danger for,
Yeah, that's it.
for somebody to get hurt, and, something that we don't want to happen. So, it was recommended that we put some kind of enclosement around the, grill area.
Mhm.
And we looked at a couple of different options. One of them was block,
Block, yeah,
That's what
looking
we
at
started.
blocking it. Mhm.
and then, the high school has a fence, chain link, or, well, it's
The black iron.
the black iron fence around it, and, which looks a lot nicer, so you started checking in that. So what did, you got bids on that?
So we did.
Yeah, yeah.
So we, Little Boy Fence Company did $2,000 for a 4-foot, 12 by 12 fence, the black iron. And, 2,000. And then between me and Tommy, we checked, Lowe's, Home Depot, we checked all kinds of places. But Lowe's, we priced the parts ourselves. And looking at the 12 by 12 fencing, still the 4-foot, tall, 12 by 12 with a gate. We can get the parts for about $1,100, maybe about $1,000. We get a 5% discount. Chad Rogers, we spoke to him about installing it for us, and he estimated $300 to $500. So it just depends on how long it takes them. That would put us around another quote on the block, a little bit cheaper with somebody that Tommy knows.
Well, I just,
but
like
it-
it's close, I still like the fence.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, the fence, after kind of looking at it down at the football field and kind of seeing what we had, it would be aesthetically more pleasing. And, so I agree. And we can get a bigger area done. So if we ever needed 2 grills, you know.
Is the gate actually necessary?
Like to close behind you, like I said,
Well, this is my observation.
yeah, of course.
The kids are down there playing, that's just a place where they play, but I think if the thing had a gate opening there, without the gate, the kids wouldn't get in there. It's just to keep them from running into the grill, playing and not paying attention, just being children.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like what you're saying about it. It looks better. Is it more durable?
Mhm.
I mean, over the years, baseball season will be over 1st of July, place is vacant down there.
Right.
whatever you say, I don't care what you say, people are still driving around the complex, driving up through there.
Right.
We had delivery trucks over the years hit the roof and had the gutters replaced. I think the block would, the same design on that block without a gate, but have it close to the building where they can go in and out right there.
Right.
But, that's just me.
Yeah.
I think that I saw the quote, it's like $650 for the block, and it's a done deal then. It's just a place to keep the children from stumbling into the grill, that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, be a good way to keep it clean down there too, because a lot of those people, they don't know, they're assigned a grill.
Right.
Pull the grill out there, they cook 200 hamburgers, there's a big greasy spot in the driveway there that, Warren, or Marty, or Tommy have to go down there, and I think, either way, it's fine, but I think saving money and it's more durable.
And the only option with the fence, or the good thing about the fence is it can be moved if it needs to.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'd almost guarantee you the first year when there's nobody down there, somebody's gonna back into it. They back into that block wall, they'll know it, so,
That's
you
true.
shouldn't be up there driving around anyway. But
I
there's
agree.
a couple people that walk their dogs out of 50 acres down there, they gotta come up there and drive up in there and get on the baseball field and walk their dog. So, I mean, if they're following all the regulations, it's not a big deal. But if they can do it, everybody ought to be able to do it. So,
I mean, you remember what the quote was on the block?
It was $8.75 a block. And that was him furnish the block, the sand, the mortar, and the rebar, and the wire that tied in. And another thing we figured was going instead of 3 foot on the block, me and Stan looked at it, we figured going 4 foot, because if a kid run up there and they had a grill there and wanted to jump up on a 3 foot fence on that block, he can jump up there, and then if he fell over it, we figured to go 4 foot with a, gap block on top. So I'm thinking it was around $2,200 or something like that, him furnish the block, the rebar and everything. And he looked at it and said that he wouldn't have to have a footer dug if they put it where they started out at first. That part of it would be on asphalt, and he would drive a piece of rebar through the asphalt to tie the block in where they wouldn't move, and the block tying it together.
was that the gentleman's name that done the back?
Jay West, the one that done.
See, I heard that he said $650 he would lay the block.
Yeah, that was all together.
I mean, do we have any block down there that's left over from?
Probably not that many.
I got,
Another split face. They were split face. I don't know how many we do have, but
Do you remember the original bid though? It wasn't your guy, it was the bid that, the quote that,
it was $2,600 or $2,800, I think it was.
and I think that was a 3 foot wall.
Yeah.
So, and then your guy quoted it as still as a 3 foot wall, so we don't have a quote for a 4 foot wall for block. We can check back and get that.
Jimmy, do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have not you, Jimmy, sorry. Jimmy, do you have a opinion on what time?
I mean, I kinda like the block idea better, just because it's more sturdy. You're gonna have kids leaning on the fence, you're gonna have adults leaning on the fence. And, to me, let them lean on that brick, it's not going nowhere. But that's my only comment.
Sherry, you have either one final thing. Dickie, which is,
Well, I'll have to say first, I like the fence just for the look and the cleaning up under it, but I mean, I'm not gonna be in, as long as we can figure out a way to make sure, like Barry said, that greasy spots and spill grease, we can wash that block out some direction, some drain in it.
because with the
fence, it would be able to,
Yeah, I mean, but you can put a drain in the block, I mean, to make sure you can get pressure washed out.
or we're gonna hold off and get another bid.
I will say, I do have the bid, two
Okay.
original bids that we got with the block.
Well, but for the 4 foot,
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
yeah.
I was gonna say, that was 1,500 was that ballpark number. It was $700 for the block from Better Block down here, and then it was, another $800 in labor. And that was that 3 foot wall. So,
Does that put rebar and all in it?
one of them does, the other one does not. It says, no, I'm sorry, I misspoke, no rebar.
Just
Just the
have to
labor.
have that to tie to the asphalt, mortar don't stick to asphalt.
Can we go back and get some more information on a 4 foot fence, and then we'll reevaluate it next month?
The concession split face block, Tom, back,
Yes.
so you need to get that bid on them particular block.
Make it match. Okay, can you do that, Jimmy?
They said,
And we need
did you
to-
hear Tommy about split face?
Yeah,
Your guy was bidding it split face, right?
yeah,
That's what I thought.
just like what the building's made out of, and the bathroom stalls and all.
And your guy's the guy that put the bathroom ones in it, right?
Make sure we know if you'll outline where it's gonna go.
Of course, yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
We can do that.
I'd like to make a motion then, that we give the mayor the authority to go ahead and do this. We're gonna wait another month, time it's done, ball season's over. This needs to be done tomorrow, not next month, middle of May. Whatever that number is, give her a cap. If you can have it done for $1,500, it's gonna cost that for the metal. If you wanna go with the metal, whatever, do it, be done with it, and let's move on. We'll be sitting down there in July and not a thing in the world going on. I just left down there, there's 12, 15 kids over there right there with the grills in, they're all running back and forth, and the parents are watching other children play. And hopefully, nothing ever happens, but if it does, and we've drug this around, shame on us. I'd like to make that motion, let's put a cap on it, whatever you think the cap is, and move forward.
You don't wanna be close.
Tommy, you think 25 would cover it with a cap, with a
Hang
block
on,
and a
just
cap?
a second.
Okay. And anything under that, we just. Well, we're still get taxi exempt and all that on fifty by the stuff and
Just rough guessing, it's about 2187.50.
I'm really glad to have that.
4501.
0.50.
What about the blocks that are left over, can we use those?
Yeah.
So, what do you think, there's half, at least half the block ready?
We might have probably 50, 75 down there, I'm gonna say. And I figured it 250, and that's extra block. And that was, that, like I said,
0.5.
25 would be good.
25.50 will work.
It's gotta be 0.50 or we can't
It's
do it.
21, but I figured extra block, so.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, so is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all, under 25. Okay, and all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing we have, next last thing we have, at Kilgore Park, where on the, north side of the drive, where, some dirt was brought in, we've got some major, problems there with mowing, with drainage, lots of things. We have, quote unquote, where the football field area was gonna be at one time. Today we have a line item on the budget for football at 10,000 for this fiscal year. We just got some bids to see what we're looking at to possibly fix the issue so that mowing can happen and
Yeah, it can't be mowed with the rocks all the
it
time.
it can't
Pretty
be
rough,
mowed.
right?
And that one part, there's like a 3-foot drop and, I mean, it's pretty rough. So Holly got some bids here to see what we're looking at as far as correcting it to the best of our ability, so.
So we just got a couple quotes and they were sealed, so I didn't open them. So this one is from Kevin Spain, for $12,250. And that's 25 loads of topsoil and grading. But you know, the total adds up to, 7,000. But he's got 12,750.
Did you help him with his math on?
Well, I'd have been a .50.
You got to make 25 loads, that's 350.
Yes, the
350 a load, that'd be
Oh,
75 loads.
350, not 35.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
25 loads at 350 a load.
Okay, $3,
So,
yeah.
and this one is from Chad Rogers. And it is 20 loads of topsoil at $300 a load, and, I guess it's called a grading,
Right.
3,500, so total 8,500. And if I'm not mistaken, Chad Rogers is the one that mentioned that, if there was enough dirt that he could possibly sell the dirt and the city could recoup that money. So,
He also had said that he would grade it out as much as he could, well, to keep those major drop-offs, he would be pushing, and then, he told me that how much topsoil did he say?
20 loads.
He said that if he come up here and put 10, and then we went down there and said, hey, yeah, that's good, no, bring more, it may not be that high. I mean, he didn't tell me, I didn't know how much he was charging me for it, but that it might not take 20, is what he was saying. And if we went down there and looked at it and said, hey, it's good at how many ever he brought, he would get it to a point, but he was gonna grade it down and see, and maybe try to get that top level layer that's just all those rocks off that top layer. So is that a ballpark of what everybody was thinking?
And I guess I assume this will make it to where we'll be able to mow it, grass will grow.
We'll have to
and
seed it and
straw
straw
it
it.
and straw it,
Yeah.
so, and level it.
He brings that much topsoil in, he ain't gonna be far off. Except for the level.
Hmm.
Cause he can shoot the grade on it for a few $100.
So we got some quotes just to, the money's in the budget, if that's something you guys want to move forward with, or if you just wanna wait on it. But because of the mowing season started, it looks pretty bad out there. And it can't be mowed.
We have a good 10 left on that line item, correct?
Mhm.
He bid it what, 85?
85.
Let's get it done, get it out of the way. I'll make a motion to, let Chad Rogers come in here and work with us to fix that field back to,
Usable area.
usable areas, better words.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, so we'll award that to Chad. Last thing on the agenda is to schedule a budget work session. Budget has to be done We have to have 2 readings on that, so we need to be able to do it in May and June. So,
Well, let's clarify that. So, in the event we don't get a budget passed, we have always in our ordinance body, you can either do a continuing resolution or you can't, and that's what we've always done. In the event it doesn't get passed, it just has to be submitted to the comptroller's office within 45 days for them to pass it. So, but we will work to get it passed by then. But I'm still taking it apart, so.
so what kind of availability, what days works better for you guys, what time?
Rainy days.
Well, last week I could've got you in here. Jimmy, what days work? I know you said at one time.
Well, 4:30 is the earliest I could be here.
Okay. That's too early for you? Depends on the day?
Yeah, I just have to make it work.
Okay.
I'll work around it.
Sherry, what is 4:30 a good
That's a
time?
good time.
Is there a certain day that works better?
I can't do the 12th and 13th.
Okay, I think that's a little too quick anyway.
April? April?
Of May.
Oh,
what month are we looking at?
I'm hoping to get it to you by the end of the month. I need probably 2 solid weeks of working on it. So, so we could look at the week of April 28th, maybe.
April the 28th at 4:30. Okay. All right, so that's everything on the agenda tonight. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Need a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?